Divorce was the last thing that I ever wanted in my first marriage. In fact, it was something that I was so terrified of that I never even let myself think about it. Yet in hindsight, I wish that my first husband had asked for a divorce because that, no matter how terrible it was, would have been far better than what actually transpired. Now, if he had asked for a divorce, I would have been absolutely gutted. I know that I would have begged for him to stay, that I would have tried to change the outcome. But yet, that one sided attempt, well, it never really works, does it? If somebody already has their mind made up and is not willing or able to work towards repair and rebuilding, sometimes it's best to let them go. From my perspective now, I would rather face divorce than be with a partner that is only with me out of a sense of obligation or out of guilt. I want to be with somebody who wants to be with me, who is making that choice each and every day. Anything else, it only leads to resentment. I would rather face divorce than be with a partner that is using affairs to fill whatever void they are feeling. I would rather be left in plain sight than betrayed behind my back. I would rather face a divorce sooner than abandonment later when the pretense becomes too much for my partner to uphold. They both result in a feeling of rejection, but abandonment makes it so much harder to learn how to trust again, and it destroys your self-worth like nothing else. I would rather face divorce than be married to somebody who is married in name only, who refused to be emotionally present. I would rather be alone than feel alone while sleeping next to my spouse every night. I would rather face divorce than be married to someone who keeps up a facade at all times, pretending to be someone that they are not. I would rather have an honest ending than a lie that lasts till death do us part. Two things can be true at the same time. Divorce is extremely disruptive. The process is awful. It can be completely traumatic, especially for children or for a partner that didn't want it. And at the same time, sometimes divorce is the best outcome for a certain situation. Now, if you had to choose between a happy marriage and a divorce, it's obvious which one you would choose. But by the very nature of it, that choice is not on the table. And for those of you that are facing unwanted divorce, I know that that doesn't always make sense because you're thinking, but it's a good marriage to me. But it's not just your perspective that matters. And if your partner is wanting out, then obviously it's not a good partnership for them for whatever reason. Therefore, the marriage itself is not a good one, at least not at this time. And I know that it can be such a difficult pill to swallow. It took me a long time to come to acceptance with my own first marriage. Yet at the same time, it's also a freeing realization. Because at some point, your choices may be between keeping this malfunctioning marriage going, either through life support or a steady drip of denial, and ending it, leaving space for something new. Now, that doesn't mean that you give up easily. That doesn't mean that the first time that there's any discord in your marriage, you throw in the towel and say, forget this, I'm not going to put any work in. That's not what I'm talking about. We all know that relationships take work. You're dealing with two messy, imperfect beings trying to create a life together. There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be mismatches. There's going to be periods of ebb and flow. All of that is completely normal. But sometimes you can get to a point where there's nothing more that you can do. Now, if you're facing unwanted divorce, it can be extremely difficult to accept that your marriage was not as happy as you thought it was. This is especially true if your partner hid their unhappiness from you. It's sad how frequently we hear, I haven't been happy for a long time, as the first indication that there is something amiss. And remember, then even if the marriage is smooth and unblemished from your view, they see ragged edges and gaps from their perspective. And marriage is a sum of both of those views. So I am not anti-divorce. I am anti-lying to yourself or to your partner. A marriage that is built on lies will eventually and painfully collapse. I am anti-cheating. It is never okay to betray your partner's trust. I am anti-abandonment. It is cowardly to slink away without even the benefit of a conversation. I am anti-shaming someone for the decisions that they make. We all have to do what is best for us and aligns with our goals and our values. Divorce is awful. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Heck, I even wouldn't wish it on my first husband. Yet for some people, in some situations, it is still the right decision.